Hello and welcome to my today's video, in which I'm going to speak about one of the most challenging topics that I have ever spoken about. And I have spoken about different challenging topics in this blog and in my different blog as well. So you can imagine. This video will include the conversation about the topics of sexual violence and sexual abuse. So if you feel like you are not ready to listen to it, please do not watch this video. So the way I speak about different topics is kind of like I speak about something when on different levels it has found its place in my system of view. And some time ago, I think it was in August, at the end of August, I was thinking a lot about the topic of violence generally and sexual violence as well, because at that time I was learning a choreography with the music History of Violence. By the way, it's a wonderful song, History of Violence by Moriarty. I will put it somewhere here. And it kind of triggered these thoughts about violence and about all of these things. And also at the same time, I was working with a client on the topic of violence, which was not only in this life, but in previous lives as well. So this topic was very heavy at that time for me. And I was walking and I was carrying inside of me all this time. And for me, it's also like an experiential thing. So I kind of feel it in my body, in my psychic, like everywhere. And it was very, very unpleasant, honestly. But at that time, I didn't find the answer to why it is like this, to how it is like this. And honestly, I'm not sure if I have the answer now, but now it kind of came to some picture for me, which I'm ready to share today. And to maybe make it clearer for some people why the situation with sex, with abuse, is the way it is right now. Like during my life, I have noticed a few different particularities about sex, especially about sex for women, which I have noticed in myself or in my friends or in my clients, which are somewhat illogical if we look at it from the point of view of the present time, of the present life. For example, it is like more or less common, and people usually don't talk about it, but it is more or less common that for women there is much more tension around sex, like on the average, than it is for men. I'm not sitting okay. Than it is for men. On the other hand, there is also like this idea of, talking her through it, talking her into it. Like it's common for women to hesitate before having sex, even when, it's like, it seems like the atmosphere is right, and it seems like the man is right, and it seems like everything is all right, and it seems like you want it, but still you hesitate to actually go into it, to have sex with this man. But also at the same time, there is also more or less common thing, and I've heard it from different women, and I know it in myself as well, when you're kind of hesitant to have sex with this person, and you say, no, I don't feel like doing it right now. He says, okay, okay, we can do it other time when you are ready. And then you feel like, okay, now I kind of want to have sex with you, because you gave me this space and you gave me, you let me understand that it is safe for me to say no. And also there are reports from women that sometimes they feel sexually aroused when they hear about sexual violence. And also, like, a lot of women have a kink for some extent of violence. And also there is this tendency to agree to have sex when you are not sure if you want it, but the partner is insisting in a way, like pushing you towards that, like, come on, you want it too, blah, blah, blah. And there is a tendency to agree to have sex even when you're not sure if you want it or not. And also there is a tendency in the situation of potential abuse. Women often do not fight back, but they rather freeze. and just stop moving. Oh my God, it's so hard to speak about it. So all this, at some point, all this came together in my head, and I thought that, well, actually, historically, sex was not about pleasure for women most of the time. Most of the time for women, it was either violence in the wars, but also not in the wars, or it was a duty, like the continuation of the lineage, or it was a mean for survival, because when women didn't have their own money, when women didn't have their own resources, their own measures for living, they had to stick to a man, and sex was one of the ways to operate around that, to keep him tied, something like this. And historically, for women, sex was like a battlefield where they kept losing. And honestly, I feel like when I speak about it, and when I work with my clients on the topics like this, and when I work with myself on the topics like this, and when I touch these topics in art, in cinema, in music, and so on, I really have this feeling that we still carry this all, and it really makes sense. It's genetic, it's historic, it's behavioral. It's also a mean for survival, because this current understanding of sexual relationships and generally relationships between men and women is very, very new, it's very, very fresh. For the most time in the history of humankind, sex was rather violence than towards a woman than something else. So it is our mean for survival. All these tendencies, the tendency to still feel somewhat excited when it is about obvious abuse, a tendency to freeze when you are being abused. These are all a tendency to agree to still have sex even if you don't really want to. These are all the ways, the conditioning, the means for survival for a woman. So now, when I think about it this way, it really makes sense why it is all happening this way. Because I don't know if you have noticed, but I have noticed that when it comes to sex, the consciousness, it's kind of shifts. It's kind of different. It's not the way it usually is in the day-to-day life. And this shift moves us back into more primal state. And I don't want to say that sex is only violence for a woman. It's not so, because naturally sex is something very beautiful, very pleasant, something very, very right, something very ecstatic even. So in the subconscious of a woman, I feel like sex is this controversial topic where on the one hand, naturally, sex is something that we want, but on the other hand, sex is something that we fear for very righteous reasons, because for thousands of years, it has been the source of trauma for generations of women. And now, when I have explained this already, it's even more obvious why consent is this important. Because consent used to be a luxury. Consent was not something that was required. And when a man asks for consent, are you sure that you want to have sex with me right now? Do you want to have sex with me right now? And creates the space for saying no safely, and creates the space in which a woman knows that she is safe whatever she replies, whether she goes into it or doesn't go into it. This is the moment when this trauma is being healed. This is the moment when the subconscious of a woman can understand that sex is no longer violence. On the other hand, if a man doesn't create the space in which a woman can say no, if he becomes impatient, if he insists, if he pushes, this is the reinforcement of this trauma. Speaking nothing about the causes of an actual sexual abuse. Of course, the causes of actual sexual abuse is the reinforcement of this trauma, of course. But even these borderline situations in which it's kind of not actual rape, right? But it's still abuse. It's still persuasion. It's not an act of love if you made her, right? So basically it boils down to this. Sex for a woman can either be a situation in which this generational trauma reinforces itself, or it can be a situation where this generational trauma heals. And that's it. And as a man, I'm speaking to men right now, you can either participate in healing your loved one, the person that you love, the person that you want to have sex with, or you can participate in traumatizing her more, in pushing her away, basically. Because if you do not create this safe space to say no, if you don't create this safe space generally for her to be vulnerable, for her to be intimate with you, then you're just hurting her more. But on the other hand, if you are being patient, if you are being loving, if you are being understanding, that's the moment when you can actually create a space for healing for her. And now, if I speak to women in this regard, I would say the following. Never have sex if you doubt if you want to have sex or not. Never do it. No. Because again, if you allow it to happen, if you are not in a dangerous situation, I don't know how to act in dangerous situations. Like, my motto is not to try not to get into dangerous situations. But again, if you feel like you don't want to have sex, don't do it. Like, by all means, don't do it. Because if you fault, if you allow it to happen even though you are not sure, again, you are reinforcing this trauma. You are not healing it inside of you. You are going to pass it further if you want to have children, and if you will have children. And the price that you pay for this is enormous, because you keep having this inside of you. You keep having this trauma inside of you, this trauma of helplessness, of despair, of disempowerment, which influences all the spheres of your life. Don't be with a man who persuades you into having sex with you when you are not sure if you want it or not. Because again and again, you will be reinforcing this trauma. You will be strengthening this energy of this generational pain inside of you instead of healing it. I'm not saying this all. I'm not making this video to say, look, we women are victims. We are, historically. But that's not what I'm trying to say. Now we have the power. Now we have the power, because the institutes of the society are like that. We have the power to say no. We have the power to not put ourselves in the situation where this is, potentially dangerous. We need to try and do it. We have the power to choose a man. We have the power to choose and to be still independent from him. We have the power to be self-sustaining. We have the power to rely on ourselves and on each other. We don't need to be like competitors for each other. We can support each other, we can help each other, we can save each other. So now we are in a position when we can heal for this. We can heal this shit, not to pass it to our children, if we want to have children. I want to have children. So this is the main point of this video. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that we are, both men and women, are in a position to heal this generational trauma. Despite the fact that it has been reinforced for thousands of years, we still have a chance right now to heal it, because because the world is like this right now, because it creates, despite the fact that it is imbalanced in many, many ways, it still creates a space for us for healing any types of traumas, including this one. So I made this whole video to, you know, show the problem, which is very unpleasant. Like, when I was preparing for this video, when I was writing down this, I felt so bad, honestly. Like, now I feel much, much better. And I am finally able to speak about it. But yesterday it was horrible. It was really bad. But I am speaking about it. I am raising this trauma from myself to the surface, and from the, you know, collective female subconscious to the surface, to set it, but also to say, we have the power to heal it. And what I'm trying to ask you to do is to do it for yourself, for the collective womankind, womanhood, what's the word? You got it. And for the generations to come. But most importantly for yourself. Because when you get rid of this, life becomes much, much easier. Life becomes much less scary. Life becomes much easier to live, honestly. I feel like, I'm not sure that it is like this, because I feel like I'm on the threshold for this. But still, yeah, I feel like it's worth doing. I feel like it's worth trying. So this is my today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really didn't want to, I really wasn't planning to make it. I had a plan for other videos, much more pleasant and entertaining. But, you know, this one appeared, and apparently it needs to be somewhere out there. So thank you for watching, and see you next time. I feel so good having made this video. You can't even imagine. It's such a relief. Thank you. Thank you, my future audience, for watching this.